Hey guys, welcome back. So I wanted to do a little something different this week, which is to tell you about some of the authors that I personally have been reading. So I've been reading a lot of independents lately, which as an independent author myself or indie author is more fun because there's a lot of indie talent out there, and we don't always have the ability to get the same sort of exposure and everything else that, of course, people who are traditionally published get. But there's so much talent. And I'm going to talk to you about a few of the books that I have read in the past year and a half to 2 years that I have loved by indie authors, and I think you will love them too. First up is Random Attachment by Gertrude T. Kitty. So this is a totally different genre than what I am used to reading. This is set in, modern, it's fiction, but it's modern day, London. And it is a suspense thriller romance, which I had never read anything of that sort before, which I love. It was really, really well written. The character development is wonderful. The people are extremely real. The characters, see, they're the people to me now. The characters are extremely real, and the struggles that Mia, a young girl who has kind of a crappy home life, and she's a little overweight, she's a little plain, but she has this huge crush on a guy that she sees on the tube every day. The tube in London is the metro or the subway or whatever city you're from you want to call it. The public transport trains in the city. In London, it's called the tube, in case you didn't know. But anyway, yeah. So she sees him every day, and this whole thing develops, and there's a killer wandering around the city of London this whole time, killing young girls who kind of fall into the main character's description, but she's got her own family struggles, and it's just really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I recommend it. It is available on Amazon, and again, Gertrude T. Kitty, Random Attachment. Give it a go. I strongly recommend you do. Second up, one of my absolute favorites that I have read very recently is The Dark Wood by Sydney Mann, and that is fantastic. I loved it. This is also got a bit of romance, which I love, but it is a fantasy horror book, and her take on vampires is pretty awesome, I have to say. I personally can get a little tired of the whole vampire thing. It gets a little out of hand sometimes in the literary world, but the way that she writes it, and it's not all about vampires, there are all sorts of different crazy nighttime fantasy creatures that they have to worry about, and there's this whole I'm so afraid of saying a lot because of spoilers. It's extremely well written. The characters are great. I really related strongly to Stella, who is the main character, and I think that you should give it a go. Even if you're not generally into romance or fantasy, I still think this is a good one for you. Sydney Mann, also available on Amazon, The Dark Wood. So give it a go. I know a lot of people who have never read fantasy genre or anything, and they've said wonderful things about this book, which I say wonderful things about it too. The next one I'm going to say wonderful things about is The Wanderer Chronicles, Volume 1 by Peter D. Richardson. There's his name. So, because I don't think it's on the front. It isn't. There. This is a really good read. It is about a post-apocalyptic world. They are, obviously, it's pretty much everything I'm going to talk about is fiction here. But it's fiction, but it's post-apocalyptic, Earth. This story happens in the UK, and I gotta tell you, he keeps you on your toes the entire time. The author is really good about making you feel the stress of the characters, about the situation, and everything that's really important. And it's an emotional roller coaster, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very invested in what was going on with Michael, the whole, who is the the main character the whole time. So definitely give this a read. It is a super quick read. It's only 241 pages. It won't take you long, and you'll love it. You will find that you come out of this with a better appreciation for your real life after reading what these poor people have to live with in their world. So, Wanderer Chronicles, Volume 1, Peter D. Richardson, also available on Amazon. Give it a go. The next two, by the same author, are the first and second books in the Smoke Pit Fairy Tale series by Trip Ainsworth. I love it. I haven't read the second one yet. Trip, I'm reading it. I promise. I'm gonna do it. But it's very close to next on my list. So these really are fun. I have to say I enjoy the Smoke Pit Fairy Tale series very, very much. It's a world I never would have imagined would have happened. It's World War III, but with space aliens and demons and some other monsters and like the Marines and you wouldn't think that it would all come together in a cohesive way, but it does, and it's this really cool sci-fi war saga. These are just the first two books in the series. The next, I think there are 6 books presently, and I think he's still writing them. So yeah, there are 6 books presently. I am going to read them all. And by the way, he's very funny, very witty, and the character development is excellent. I really enjoy it. It's the kind of character development where you just kind of know what's going on in their brains, and it's not something where you get a paragraph every time a character is introduced, but you really get to know the character as you read it, and that's not something every author can accomplish, and I feel that Tripp does accomplish it very well. So definitely give the Smoke Pit Fairy Tale series a read. Again, sci-fi World War III saga that's unexpected in a lot of ways, in a lot of positive ways, though not always with characters. It is a war saga. Sorry, guys. We mourn our characters. The next is another one that I don't often read this genre, The Mess We're In by Carolyn Lawrence. And I really enjoyed it. It went super fast. It is a romance. It's, fictional romance, and it takes place in, real world, but obviously the characters and everybody is not real. But it's a real romance, which is so sweet. And they, to me, and by the way, she is also very funny. Carolyn Lawrence. There's a lot of witty repartee in here that you wouldn't necessarily expect to read. So I would definitely recommend this one. It's good. It's good. I usually don't get too invested in non-fantasy and sci-fi books. It's just not usually my jam. But this one really had me going. I enjoyed it very much, and I really enjoyed the relationship between the two main characters. They clicked, and they had real life struggles that you, as the reader, got frustrated with them the whole time, but you were so invested in their relationship that you just kept reading because you wanted them to get it together. and you really enjoyed it, and you really felt for them, and yeah, so give it a go. Carolyn Lawrence, The Mess We're In, also available on Amazon. Most of these are. Definitely. The next has a similar premise to my book, but totally different world, obviously. Totally different set of characters, is Rise by Brian Guthrie. And this one actually won an Inkshares award, I want to say in 2016. Not 100% sure of the year, but he definitely won an Inkshares award, and he deserved it every bit. This one's a bit longer. It's about 550 pages, so don't be scared. It actually goes a lot faster. This actually is a post-apocalyptic like fantasy as well, but the characters are kind of trying to save the world, but not in the same. The world is like a post-apocalyptic desert world, and frankly, it's just in tatters. It really is, and the characters are searching after a utopia, and you know, in search of this utopia, they're hoping that they'll be able to save the world by finding the place of promise, or whatever you want to call it. But it's a really, really good read, and I got my copy via Inkshares. It's a suspenseful read too, by the way. That you really feel the grit of this story, and you feel the struggles of the characters as you read it, and it hurts sometimes, but it's worth it, like most books. So give it a try. It's probably also available on Amazon, but Inkshares for sure. Rise by Brian Guthrie. Strongly recommend. You'll enjoy it. Which brings me to, of course, this little thing called To Save a World by me, Hollis McCullum, Hollis Joe McCullum. That's my full name and my pen name. So, yes, I think that you should definitely give this a read. I obviously love it a lot because it is my book child. And this is also about a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. Characters they don't set out to save the world, they set out to make it a little bit better for their own people, and then things happen, they get responsibilities. Oops. And there's a romantic subplot, because that's fun. So, probably one of the reasons I like Sydney Mann's book, The Dark World, so much. I'm tripping over my words. Blech. Because she and I kind of have a similar, like, I want my fantasy and I want it to be weird and scary sometimes, but I also want some romance. So it's fun. I hope you will check it out. This is also available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. And I think that will conclude this week's video/book suggestion review. Ended up being a little longer than I intended. Sorry about that. But do check out the books. These indie authors are all awesome, and there are even more awesome indie authors out there that I haven't read and I'm going to read, and then I'll give them more props. So do it, enjoy it, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell, and hey, I just gave you more stuff to do during quarantine. Isn't that cool? And you get to support independence. You're welcome. Have a great day. Bye, guys.